Back at Japan Mobility Show 2025 at the Mazda booth, this car has been very difficult to even get on schedule. This is the all-new redesigned Mazda CX-5, and it will be coming to America in the early part of 2026. As a 2026 model year, I believe, this is going to continue Mazda's success. This is their best-selling model. What are the big differences here? I'm going to feature here in today's video, so let's get into it. Now, I cannot open the hood, but there's just one powertrain. Gone is a turbocharged 2.5-liter Skyactiv-G engine that had 250 horsepower. Okay, standard coming next year is the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated version with about 180 horsepower, maybe a little bit more than that. Made it to what we're very familiar with is 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, there is a new hybrid model coming, but it is delayed, maybe about a year after launch. So that might not come until 2027 for this Mazda CX-5. Now, it is being co-developed with Toyota to my understanding, but we still don't know hardly anything about that new Mazda hybrid other than it is going to have a new Skyactiv-Z engine, all new efficiency, power, we don't really know, but it is going to showcase here on the CX-5. And since we're up here, let's talk about the front end design. Well, it still features that Kodo design. It is unmistakably a Mazda. They have changed the daytime running lights here a little bit. They've squinted them down just a small bit. And we have a little bit more motion and aggression here at the very bottom of this CX-5. Let's go ahead and check out the side. Now, this is where the CX-5 has the biggest change. It is now longer than the previous generation. It will afford us more cargo space. Still looks great from the side. I like how they didn't try to make the window surrounds too flashy, just kind of a matte black all the way around, but we do have a glossy B-pillar here that I'll try not to touch because it has been collecting fingerprints throughout its sitting here. All right, glossy black mirrors as well. Oh, and these are 19-inch wheels here on this CX-5. Now, these do look like wheel covers, but they are not. It's crazy that it looks like a wheel cover to me from the naked eye, but that's actually a fully alloy wheel there. All right, we have, continuing from the front bumper, a glossy black accent and a little notch here, which is a part of Japanese, I think, wood joining features and blocks. Okay, I forget the exact type of art there, but that was inspired by conjoining things through those little notches, and you can kind of see that notch here even at the bottom of the glossy bottom portion of the doors as well. I like the paint matched door handles here as well, and just a gas cap here in the back. No plug-in hybrids or electrified models other than the hybrid coming. And pictures can't do the back end of the Mazda CX-5 justice. It looks so similar to, in a lot of ways, the CX-90. Now, the CX-90 is more of a rounded, bulbous rear end, right? Because it has that third row of seats in there. But the tail lights that sweep in are very similar to the CX-90. But unlike the CX-90, the CX-90 is tricky because you have to go to the upper trim levels to get the nicer taillights. These are going to come standard with the nicer taillights, it seems, that kind of encompass the middle. No longer we have a Mazda logo in the back. It's come to a word font at this point in time. All right, Skyactiv-G. All right, I'm not sure what the E stands for here because well, maybe this does have the hybrid technology in here. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to double check. I don't believe. Maybe this model here in Japan comes with like a 24-volt mild hybrid or something like that. That's a possibility, or 48 volt. It's possible, but that would be my guess because this Skyactiv-G, we're just not familiar here in the United States, so it could be a mild hybrid here on this model. And I know Europe is getting a Skyactiv, is it the Skyactiv X? I forget, or no, it's a Skyactiv-G. Mild hybrid over in Europe, so maybe that's the kind of model we're looking at here. But in the United States, we're not going to get the mild hybrid, we'll get the full hybrid over a year away. Now, I do like that they kept the exhaust tips, dual exhaust. It's something that the new RAV4, now the new RAV4 has gone fully hybrid at this point, but the previous generation RAV4 had nice rear exhaust tips. Well, Mazda CX-5 still has a little bit of that sportiness in the back with the rear exhaust tips, but really nice looking rear end here to the Mazda CX-5. Let's look it up, the cargo. I'll go and put on the screen what the cargo capacity is here of the CX-5. It has grown substantially versus the previous generation. All right, there is a tonneau cover here and a Bose subwoofer. I do not see a spare tire here on this model, but again, this is not a US spec model, so stay tuned for spare tire information. Now, these seats fold down 40-20-40, which is a rarity. Typically, it's just 60-40. But this is a global model, so all CX-5s are built here in Japan. When you see seats split like this, it's typically for global markets. And I like how they didn't cheapen out with just doing a 60-40. That's a nice feature there. All right, but I don't see any. There's one light in here. I do have handles here to fold down the rear seats. I don't have any. I have one 12-volt accessory power, so it's probably about 180 watts there. So let's go ahead and close this down, and let's get into the back seat. Now get into the CX-5 here. Two things I noticed right away. Oh man, it's nice to sit down and walk in the show for days. Tons of leg room. And as a parent, I notice when doors don't open up very far. This door opens up close to 90 degrees here, so getting kids in is going to be very easy. And look how big this opening is here. I feel like I have tons of space. I do have handles above. I also have a panel roof here. Looking at the back of this seat, the design is so similar to like a Mazda 3 sitting behind them. I know that seat well because when I'm in a Mazda 3, I want to get out of it. So I'm kind of like scarred by the seat design on a Mazda 3. So it does have a very similar back to other Mazda cars. All right. I have vents back here. I also have heated outboard seats on this trim, which means we're going to have that probably in the top trims here in the United States. Illuminated USBs. We also have this drivetrain hump here because this is mechanical all-wheel drive. The CX-5 in the United States, I think, is going to be fully all-wheel drive because Mazda has an all-wheel drive policy on their crossovers. They all have to be all-wheel drive for the U.S. market. Now, these door handles look very similar to the CX-50 that's made in America. Right, a little bit silver garnish here, then it goes to a cheap plastic here. There's fake stitching here as well. All right, for a top trim, I would be expecting better materials, honestly, but it's kind of in line with the CX-50, honestly, with the quality of materials here on the door. This is hard touch, even though it's a different color than this plastic. Headroom's good, and again, I could fold down the middle seat here, but there won't be any, well, I take that back. Inside of the 20 portion, there is an armrest with 2 cup holders, all right? But very cozy and accommodating back seat for not only adults, but also children at some point. Materials still hard touch here at the top. I wonder if they'll soften this out for high-end trims in North America. This piece also fake stitching, hard touch there as well. So a little disappointed with those materials. Bose tweeter here in the A-pillar. Okay, these seats, now the CX-5 is one of its greatest weaknesses in the previous generation was how stiff their seats were. What can I say about these seats now in the CX-5? The cushion feels noticeably longer. That was an issue with the old CX-5, as my legs were too long for it. The seat is a lot more comfortable than the old CX-5, so you guys can celebrate. Holy cow, this screen is enormous. I believe this is a 15-inch screen. It is huge. And there are 0 buttons for climate control. This is something I've roasted the CX-5 on this redesign. Like, this screen is so big, I have to get out of my seat to touch the far end of it. And I get that this climate control over here is for this passenger, but am I able to play with it? Yeah, I can slide it around, and the screen does feel nice. It looks quality. Here's a 360 camera. I can kind of play with this here. Pretty cool. This door's open. That's why it looks so crazy. And the back door's open as well. All right. Now, there is a shortcut menu for climate control here. Okay, so I can just put it on auto, but oh, wow, that pulls up another sub menu. So if I push this, nothing happens other than bringing up the sub menu. Which is very Lexus-like, but at least Lexus has rotary dials to change your climate control, and that doesn't go away. And Lexus keeps this screen up all the time. All right, so the software feels very Toyota-like, and I'm pretty sure it does share some things with Toyota. All right, so we have some different drive modes here, but there's no drive mode button, so you would have to press the car, and then, oh no, there's a mode here, but that mode might change the radio station. So interesting. All right, I'll get back to the steering wheel here in a little bit. All right, so back to this touchscreen, heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. It's hard to say how frustrating this will be until I drive it, because just because it's all touchscreen doesn't mean it's a complete no-buy. For a lot of people, it might be though. But if the air conditioning and auto mode is really good and I don't have to fumble with this, the climate control a whole lot, then it might be acceptable. But the way I'm seeing this right now, it is going to cause a huge issue for a lot of people, which doesn't come as a surprise, okay? Google Maps comes up massive on here. I'm inside of a massive, obviously, conference building at Tokyo Big Sight, so GPS is not gonna work in here. So this is the home screen. It looks like you can configure it, maybe to show different things that pop up on here. I thought this is going to be more similar to the Arene software within Toyota, the RAV4. And just because this looks different than the RAV4 software doesn't mean it's actually different at the core. It could still be running the exact same software with just a different overlay over it. All right, this looks, I guess, pretty straightforward. I'm not going to complain too much about the screen. It's too big. A lack of physical climate control is a deal breaker for a lot of people. There's 2 physical buttons here, and look how low these vents are. This is going to be an issue too, because they're prioritizing screen size and everything in the screen, and the icons are really small in the screen. Okay, so you have to be very accurate while you're driving, and there's no place to really, I guess maybe right below here to stabilize your finger, but it's not very evident. All right. Anyways, these vents are really low, and for air conditioning, this is going to be an issue, I have a feeling, because this shelf even comes out, which could snuff out the air from getting to your face. I do have a head-up display here. Mazda has pretty good head-up displays. I have a digital rearview mirror, sunglasses holder, good. All right. As we come to this steering wheel, the Mazda logo is gone. They replaced it with the Mazda word font here. And let's talk about this setup. Okay, this isn't terrible. This is actually way better than like the Infiniti QX80 that has, like, this clicks. It's more satisfying to press this, but it's still very similar to that QX80 where this whole panel moves when you press it down. The whole panel moves, but it registers where your finger is. But I have a feeling there's going to be some frustration, but it's hard to say. Now, there's also buttons down below, and they're on their own panel, separate from the bigger panel here. And that's going to allow, and this is a lot faster than current Mazda software, so I know that's good. All right, I like the shortcut to the 360 camera here on the steering wheel. That is awesome. All right, your driving assistant technology over here, and your radio presets as well as volume is over here. I kind of like that, but there's no volume knob. They keep a traditional shifter, which it's nice to have, but no one really needs. I would gladly give up my traditional shifter here for maybe a column shifter. It's all shift by wire anyways. I'd gladly give this up for a volume knob somewhere in this car. All right, there's no volume knob, there's no climate control. That's a bit frustrating. I do have paddle, they kept the paddle shifters, right, because they wouldn't be fun to drive, but apparently you don't need a volume knob or climate control buttons anymore. So let's go ahead and finish this out. We have a wireless charger here, 2 USB-Cs in this arm compartment. Now, Mazdas have some of the softest armrests in the industry, and that has continued here. Right here with my armrest in the door, it's soft, and in the middle is not quite as soft. Maybe as previous CX-5, it's pretty good there. So comfort has taken a jump up because the seat is now soft. All right, is it time? Okay, thank you. So I need to get out of the CX-5. My time is up here. Again, the scheduling is very, very tight. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the comments, and I should be driving this vehicle in the very near future in the United States. Signing out from the 2026 redesigned Mazda CX-5. Peace.